small booklets to go inside my journal ephemera keeper, and these have just been made from white cardstock. I've taken a single sheet of A4 which I've trimmed to 8 inches, that's cutting 1/4 inch off the side. I've scored it at 4.5 inches and 9 inches, and that leaves a flap of 2.5 inches. This you can then fold over to whichever side you like and stick it down as a small folder keeper. This one has been decorated. Here's another one that has been just a circle clip so you can get things in and out a little bit easier. I've covered it with a piece of paper. And you can also cut an aperture in the sheet before you stick it down, and I'll speak a little bit more about that later. And so to my use of the Grafix Dura-Lar sheets. These are clear, quite thick, and I thought they would make some really good clear pockets for storing some of this ephemera. I've used a sewing machine to put it down rather than glue, and but you could use glue. This one I really like. I've made some little folders, strips to hold some of the smaller pieces in place. And I'll show you how I made that. I cut 1-inch strips of the sheeting, and I used red tape on the bottom to stick them to the page at equal distances. I then cut some 1/2-inch strips to make a border around the page. That's top and bottom and the sides. And then I sewed them in place with my sewing machine, but you could actually use the red tape to do this. I quite like using the machine. It took the machine really, really well, but it did blunt the needle. And then you can see how you've created all these lovely little see-through pockets that you can actually use for your ephemera. Another thing I did with the sheets was I used some alcohol ink and some stamping to create some sheets of paper. This was just a small strip. And then this I used as a backing in the aperture on one of the flaps. Now to create that aperture you need to cut the flap before you start to stick it down. And then to create the frame, if you use 2 of the dies together, that will give you a piece that you can then actually put over the top as a border. I find it really works very, very well, and any of the thin knit dies that are nesting, that works perfectly.